Gadadha Srivasadi Gaurav Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, Nitai Gauda Haribo, 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Pramanandi. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Volume 1, Chapter 1, Text 44. Gopala Champuname Granta Mahasura. Gopala Champuname Granta Mahasura. Nitya Lila Stapane Jahe Braja Rasa Pura. Nitya Lila Stapane Jahe Braja Rasa Pura. Gopala Champuname Granta Mahasura. Nitya Lila Stapan Jahe Braja Rasa Pura. Ladies? Gopala Champu. Gopala Champu. Name by the name Grantha, the transcendental literature, Mahasura, most formidable, Nitya Leela, of eternal pastimes, Stapana, establishment, Jahe, in which Brajarasa, the transcendental mellows, enjoyed in Vrindavan. Pura, complete. Translation. Please repeat. The most famous and formidable transcendental literature is the book named Gopala Champu. In this book, the eternal pastimes of the Lord are established, and the transcendental mellows enjoy in Vrindavan are completely described. The most famous and formidable transcendental literature is the book named Gopala Champu. In this book, the eternal pastimes of the Lord are established, and the transcendental mellows enjoy in Vrindavan are completely described. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In his Anubhasya, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following information about Gopala Champu. Everyone ready? Long purport. Gopala Champu is divided in two parts. The first part is called the Eastern Wave, and the second part is called the Northern Wave. In the first part, there are 33 supplications, and in the second part, 37 supplications. In the first part, completed in 1510, Shakabda, the following subject matters are discussed. 1. Vrindavan and Goloka. 2. The killing of the Putana demon. The gopis returning home under the instructions of Mother Yasoda. The bathing of Lord Krishna and Balaram. Snigdha Kanta and Madhu Kanta. 3. The dream of Mother Yasoda. 4. The Janmastami ceremony. 5. The meeting between Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, and the killing of the Putana demon. 6. The pastimes of awakening from bed, the deliverance of the demon Shakata, and the name-giving ceremony. 7. The killing of the Trinavarta demon, Lord Krishna's eating dirt, Lord Krishna's childish naughtiness, and Lord Krishna as a thief. 8. Churning of the yogurt, Krishna's drinking from the breast of Mother Yasoda, the breaking of the yogurt pot, Krishna bound with ropes, the deliverance of the two brothers, Jamal Arjuna, and the lamentation of Mother Yasoda. 9. Entering Sri Vrindavan. 10. The killing of Vatsasura, Bakasura, and Bhyomasura. 11. The killing of Agasura and the bewilderment of Lord Brahma. 12. The tending of the cows in the forest. 13. Taking care of the cows and chastising the Kaliya serpent. 14. The killing of the Gadhavasura and the praise of Krishna. 15. The previous attraction of the gopis. 16. The killing of the Pralambasura and the eating of the forest fire. 17. The gopis' attempt to approach Krishna. 18. The lifting of Govardhana hill. 19. Bathing Krishna with milk. 20. The return of Nanda Maharaj from the custody of Varuna and the vision of Goloka Vrindavan by the gopis. 21. The performance of the rituals in Katyayani Vrata and the worship of the goddess Durga. 22. The begging of food from the wives of the Brahmanas performing sacrifices. 23. The meeting of the gopis. 24. enjoying the company of the gopis, the disappearance of Radha and Krishna from the scene and the search for them by the gopis. 25, the reappearance of Krishna. 26, the determination of the gopis. 27, pastimes in the waters of the Yamuna. 28, the deliverance of Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of the serpent. 29, various pastimes in solitary places. 30th, the killing of Shankasura and the Hori. 31, the killing of Aristasura. 32, the killing of the Keshi demon. 33, the appearance of Sri Narada Muni, and a description of the year in which the book was completed. In the second part, known as Uttara Champu, the following subject matters are discussed. 1. Attraction for Brajabhumi. 2. The cruel activities of Akrura. 3. Krishna's departure for Mathura. 4. A description of the city of Mathura. 5. The killing of Kamsa. 6. Nanda Maharaj's separation from Krishna and Balaram. 7. Nanda Maharaj's entrance into Vrindavan without Krishna and Balaram. 8. The studies of Krishna and Balaram. 9. How the son of the teacher of Krishna and Balaram was returned. 10. Uddhava visits Vrindavan. 11. Talking with the messenger bumblebee. 12. The return of Uddhava from Vrindavan. 13. The binding of Jarasandha. 14. Killing of the Javana Jarasandha. 15. The marriage of Balaram. 16. The marriage of Rukmini. 17. 7 marriages. 18. The killing of Narakasura. The taking of the Parijata flower from heaven and the marriage of 16,000 queens. 19. Victory over Vanasura. 20. A description of Balaram's return to Braja. 21. The killing of Pandraka, the imitation Vishnu. 22. The killing of Dvivida and thoughts of Hastinapur. 23. Departure for Kurukshetra. 24. How the residents of Vrindavan met at Kurukshetra. 25. Consultation with Uddhava. 26. The deliverance of the king. 27. The performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice. 28. The killing of Salva. 29. Considering returning to Vrindavan. 30. Krishna's revisiting Vrindavan. 31. The adjustment of obstruction by Srimati Radharani and others. 32. Everything completed. 33. The residence of Radha and Madhava. 34. Decorating Srimati Radharani and Krishna. 35. The marriage ceremony of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. 36. The meeting of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And 37. Entering Golok. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasa Jnananjana Sadakaya Chakshurunmilitanjana Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paschatyadesh Vanchakalpataruvyascha Kripasindhuvya evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namon. So this is, according to the verse, the most famous and formidable transcendental literature, the Gopala Champu. So it's a book that we see sometimes around. I don't know if anybody has studied the book. You have studied it? Read? I had the book at different times in my life, but I never got around to study it. But since I knew that this would be the topic today, And I thought I better do some research. And it's quite a book, not only because of the length. Some of the experts say that it has 30,000 verses, which is almost double of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is also deemed as some of the Sanskrit knowledgeable devotees, pandits, perhaps the most perfect composition in Sanskrit for several reasons. Not only because it's a big book, but because Jiva Goswami, who has written the Sandarbhas, where all the Vaishnava philosophy and in establishing Krishna supremacy is presented in very detailed manner with lots of examples and references, has been able to put all that together in the form of stories. And in Sanskrit, there are different types of literatures, and they go by different names. So Champu means, it's one of them, and it means a particular treatise that has prose and has poetry. So in the Bhagavatam, sometimes we find some descriptions which are very poetic. Like yesterday, we were reading the section when the Lord is leaving Kardama Muni, and then he's contemplating, as the verse says, the path back to Vaikuntha, right? And we were analyzing how that moment can be sort of, frozen in time, and we try to imagine what would Kardama would be feeling after talking to the Lord and having that interaction. So in the same way, Jiva Goswami, very skillfully, he puts all the philosophy together in this Gopala Champu book, right? And as I said, it's not admired just because it's a long book, but because it's able to put everything together and has a particular characteristic that differentiates this book from others, is that the topic of rasa, it's presented here. So Jiva Goswami is able to present Krishna, but without the majestic aspect of his personality. Right? Like if we see in the Bhagavad Gita, the first section, Krishna addresses Arjuna's condition. Arjuna has presented a number of arguments. In fact, as we all know, the Purusharthas from the Vedas, there are four main things that the Vedas, promote. Or in a way, it's like an enticement. If you follow the Vedas, then you will have dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? Those are the Purusharthas. And Arjuna, based on that, he presents his arguments. If we unpack Arjuna's arguments in the second part of the first chapter of the Gita, we can see that Arjuna is presenting a distorted version of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Right? And what Krishna does in the Bhagavad Gita is that he clarifies that. He brings the right understanding of dharma, the right understanding of artha, kama, and ultimately moksha. So in the same way, Jiva Goswami presents all these points that he has presented in his Sandarbhas and describes it in a very poetic way and in the form of stories that allows the reader, he explains at the end, to relish this rasa. And why this point about rasa is so distinctive from other literatures is because it is explained that in the Braj Prema, the relationship that the gopis and the inhabitants of Vrindavan have with Krishna, there's one thing that they are not conscious of, shall we say. Who knows what's that thing? Yes, I just said it. Yeah. They are not thinking that Krishna is the boss. And in the Bhagavad Gita, that's something that Krishna establishes, right? The middle section, that's what he establishes. I am the boss. Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adijagya. Sarva Loka Maheshwara. So many verses where Krishna refers to about himself, his position. I am the boss. I am the boss of everything. Because the Bhagavad Gita has that intention. Essential part, it's also considered an Upanishad. Upanishad means, in the Vedic context, since we are talking about the different types of Vedic literature, in the Vedic context, the Upanishads are books that reveal certain confidential secrets. That's why it's called Upanishads. So like we have Sri Upanishad and we have other Upanishads. These Upanishads are like hidden doors. Like sometimes we have these descriptions of places that have hidden doors, some button that you have to press that it's behind a painting or something like that, right? You have to do some movement and then a door open. There's some secret places. So the Vedas, we may say, are for everyone, but this, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it's guhyam, it's secret. So the Upanishads reveal that. Therefore, the Gita is also called Gita Upanishad. But then the more we entered into this type of Vedic literatures, and the champu, or the type of literature that champu is exactly that. It's fully open the secrets of, or the confidential topics of the Vedas. And this is particularly aimed at allowing the person to see the rasa. This is something quite unique, and it's something that Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami is the author of the Gopal Champu, and Rupa Goswami presents this topic in the Nectar of Devotion. He begins, Srila Prabhupada begins the explanation of the book in the preface, explaining the words used in the title, Bhakti Rasa Amrita. So Rasa, Prabhupada centers, Prabhupada aims his presentation, saying that rasa is a taste for which we all do something, right? We experience some pleasure while doing some work, while relating with someone or with some things. So that rasa is the taste. Sometimes Prabhupada would say in regards of that, the example of the carrot, right? Heard that example many times, right? The ass, the donkey, right? It's the owner of the donkey puts a stick with a carrot dangling, the dangling carrot, and the donkey gets fired up. Oh, I have a carrot today, and then starts walking, right? But he never gets the carrot, and then he walks, and you may see. Well, you don't see, I don't know, donkeys here, if they are used somewhere, in North Queensland, I guess, somewhere, right? But in India, it's quite common. And then they have these huge loads, amazing, and maybe the whole family on top. And Prabhupada explains that at the end of the day, he doesn't get the carrot, right? And the owner gives some grass. And in fact, in Prabhupada's description of that, he says, but the grass is right under his feet, right? It's right there, but he's thinking. So that intention to enjoy that carrot, it's what's called rasa, in the material sense, right? Similarly, Prabhupada gives the example of the camels. That's another one, right? And it's quite confronting, shall we say. Why the rasa of the camel is that it goes and likes to eat these leaves from the thorny bushes. And when he's trying to grab all the leaves and whatever parts of that plant, then the tongue gets cut by the thorns. And then what happens is that he starts relishing. What is he relishing? His own blood, right? He's thinking, wow, it's tasting so good. You know, I don't know who the cook was today, but It's really, really good, but it's basically the same thing, chewing the chew, right? That's rasa. So, going back to the topic of this book, 30,000 verses or so, and it has several things. One of the knowledgeable devotees that I was hearing an explanation of the Gopala Champu says, maybe some of you remember in your readings that Prabhupada refers to some Sanskrit dictionaries, right? And one of them is called Amara Kosha, right? It's available. You can download it. It's like a thesaurus. It's free. Rinanda Maharaj recommends it in his presentations. And there are other dictionaries, and sometimes Prabhupada mentions those dictionaries in his purports. And Jiva Goswami has included all the words in those three main dictionaries, and one of them is more than a dictionary, thesaurus. All the words. Imagine you're given a dictionary, a big thick book, and then you're given the task that you have to write something that has all the words. You have to use all the words in that book, right? Not only one, but three. I remember the first time I heard or read that Srila Prabhupada says that Jiva Goswami is the greatest brain, the greatest philosopher, the greatest writer of our days. Have you heard that? Huh? And of course, in those days, we didn't have access to these books. Like nowadays, I just downloaded the Gopal Champu yesterday or the other day for free from the ISKCON Desire Tree. And there are commentaries, and translations, and so many things. Now is the best time if you want to know something. And the worst time also, because there's too many things out there. But I remember when I read that, I thought, why would Prabhupada say that? I didn't understand so much about it. Because, we have Rupa Goswami, who Prabhupada named the father of the Hare Krishna movement. And the way that he glorifies, Srila Prabhupada glorifies Rupa Goswami in the beginning of two of the books that Prabhupada wanted us to study for Bhakti Shastri, the Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, and the summary study and commentary of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the form of the Nectar of Devotion, like that. So then I thought, why not him, right? But then the more I got to know about what Jiva Goswami, particularly when the Sandarbhas came out and now they are available. Is it Banu Swami or who? Gopi Paranadhana, yes. Yeah, he started. But now the devotees, paradoxically, Western devotees. Gopi Paranadhana, it's American, correct? Yeah. And Banu Swami, Canadian, Japanese, whatever. He's transcendental, but like that. So they are translating these books, and the experts say that it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to do it. And I was just thinking how amazing Srila Prabhupada's potency is. And so I was imagining how pleased he would be from all what the devotees have achieved, in just a few years, shall we say, right? Although Prabhupada, 50 years plus since he left. But so many things, and sometimes there's this accusation towards ISKCON. I want to spoil the atmosphere, but you people just know the ABC. There's no bhakti in ISKCON, etc. It hurts to hear that. Because there's so much effort that the devotees have invested in this movement to please Srila Prabhupada, to establish bhakti. Because if we hear the previous verses, I think, because there has been a bit of a mixed up with the verses, there's the glorification of Rupa Goswami, right? Right, correct? The previous verses, they describe the books that the Goswamis have compiled, Srila Rupa Goswami particularly, in thousands of verses as the books. And then name some of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vibhagda Madhava, etc. And then one of the verses says, who can count the rest of the books, headed by Lagu Bhagavatamrita, written by Srila Rupa Goswami. He has described the pastimes of Vrindavan in all of them. So I was wondering, why is this book so glorified so much, and why Jiva Goswami, who was the junior member of the group? So this is the reason that you will read, as you could see, those basically are the topics that he describes. How many of them? 33 in the first part and 37 in the last one. So, what is it, 70 or plus, right? Verses, or topics. And then when you're reading the book, there's one thing that you don't notice, that Krishna is God, right? Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the friend, Krishna is the brother, Krishna is the boyfriend, Krishna is the naughty child who does this and that. And you are relishing, I mean, that's the intention that Jiva Goswami presents at the end of the book, that you are relishing. His intention is for the readers to relish what the gopis and the associates of Krishna in Vrindavan are experiencing. And that's a very intimate thing to do, right? It's something that normally no one does unless you're very, very exalted. So that's the intention, and that's why this book is so glorified so much, because he's able, through his description, to hide Krishna's supremacy, which is quite contrary to what we have been hearing. Basically, you have 9 cantos all to establish Krishna's supremacy, right? And in the 10th canto, then we have Krishna playing and running around in Vrindavan and all that supreme boss situation that it's explained in the Bhagavad Gita, described in the first parts of the Bhagavatam. It's kind of hidden. It's like one of those magicians that shows you something and then move the hands and sleight of hands, and that's it. You don't see it. So all of a sudden, Krishna is not God. Because that's how the gopis and the gopas and all the intimate associates of Krishna relate to him. They chase him, they chastise him, they get angry with him, they poke him, So in order for the Braja gopis to do that, they cannot be thinking. There are so many stories that explain that. The famous one when the gopis are looking for Krishna, and then Krishna is running around, and then he takes the form of Vishnu, right? 4 arms, 8 arms, whatever, number of arms. And then it's, beaming, powered and all that. Seen a few dramas and heard a lot of descriptions of that pastime. And the gopis, the little girls, come around and then they see, "Oh, sir, have you seen Krishna?" And then, no, I haven't. "Oh, okay. How do you go?" And then they keep running. So they are not in that mood. So the Goswamis, headed by Rupa and Sanatana, had the instruction. It's like yesterday we were discussing how Cardamma Muni had a particular service. What was Cardamma Muni's service? Who remembers? Prajapati. Procreate. Multiply and be happy. Yeah? But in this case, that's why Caitanya Caritamrita is considered the postgraduate studies, the PhD, Prabhupada would call it. Because of that. Because that Amrita, that nectar of Krishna's pastimes with the gopis are experienced and exemplified by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why this book is considered the topmost. And amongst the descriptions of the Caitanya Caritamrita, Jiva Goswami is, it's indicated here how Jiva Goswami could have created this wonderful work. And I didn't know until couple of weeks that I was reading this, how and why Jiva Goswami is considered the greatest brain in our days, as Prabhupada said. It didn't really register why, but this is the reason, because in terms of Sanskrit, what do you call the regulations, the guidelines, the criteria? Sometimes you have to write theses, dissertations, and it has to be 10,000 words, something like that, right? And it has to have this and that, and there are so many things. It may take years for somebody to complete that. But Jiva Goswami, by his own inspiration, and you can see some parts of that book, how so eagerly, it's like, it reminds me when Satyananda Maharaj, one of his seminars I was hearing, he said that the first ingredient for us to present a convincing or appealing topic is that we should be enamored with that topic. I love this. It's like, I always notice this, especially cooks, when they are describing. I remember spending some time with Kurma Prabhu. He will get so absorbed in the descriptions of his preparations, right? Oh, and you have to peel it like that. And I was just thinking, get it done, get it cooked, and I just want to eat it. I just want to taste it. I'm not interested in how you peel it and how you do the whole thing, and then you mix it and then you soak it. It's not my thing, right? Lazy man can cook, Prabhupada said. So that's me. And but somebody gets immersed in that. So Satyananda Maharaj was saying that, for us to present Krishna consciousness, just like Prabhupada said when they asked him, he was with a group of devotees, forgot where he was, I think in Europe, and Prabhupada was emphasizing about, he was relishing the preaching results. And then he was explaining, and you might have seen in some of the videos when he's saying, we have these vans, and the vans go into the towns and the different villages in Europe, and they are distributing books. And he was so happy. So you can see that Prabhupada was so pleased. So the intention of Jiva Goswami is to share his heart. Yes, we know Jiva Goswami is an eternal associate of the Lord, and Gopin has experienced all that. But in his enthusiasm, he's saying, I pray. He says he prays for two things. One, that Radha and Krishna are pleased with his work. And the other thing is that the readers experience the pleasure that Radha and Krishna experience, and all the gopis like that. So what a wonderful thing. Why would he do that? Generally in our selfish mode, I just enjoy my own advancement, whatever that is. Prabhupada used to condemn that, the salvationist tendency, you would say, that you just want to save yourself. And that's it. And many times we hear this analogy that Prabhupada could have stayed in Vrindavan and could have achieved perfection easily, not a problem. But he took the trouble to bring that out of Vrindavan, out of India, as we were mentioning yesterday. And then in 1975, in the famous Ratha Yatra in San Francisco, where the major, I believe, declared Ratha Yatra a, public holiday or something like that, and 30,000 people reportedly were present, all Americans, or mostly Americans. You can see the videos are there. Quite different nowadays in some places. So this is basically a presentation of Krishna's pastimes in the most sophisticated way. Right? Going back to the rasa, I heard expert cooks describe the best sweet rice. And it has to be a type of rice, has to be cooked in a certain way for a certain time, and certain things have to be added. And then when the sweet rice is ready, what do? What do you do, expert cooks? No, I mean, offer is there. You have to cool it. You have to cool it, right? It has to have some, cardamom and some saffron and, so like that. So this is the most sophisticated preparation in terms of taste of the Braja Gopis with Krishna. And that's why we respect the six Goswamis, and they are in our altars, Pande Rupa, Sanatana, Raghujugo, Sri Jiva Gopalako. That's why, because they produce books that open that door to the spiritual world. And Prabhupada said that these temples are, what did he say? Embassies, right? Embassies to the spiritual world. So when we come here, like in this place, it's amazing. Every day I'm amazed of the beauty of this temple. I just can't believe it. It's like a mixture, for me at least, maybe I'm tripping, but for me it's just like a perfect combination of Vrindavan and Mayapur. Just you have Radha Govardhana, you have, it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful, right? The devotees and the surroundings and everything. It's just like, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. It's a jewel in ISKCON. I often remember when in '77, I mean, when the farm was bought, I remember reading the pastimes that were happening, the discussions, conversations that Prabhupada was having with Tamal Krishna, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and others surrounding him in different parts, Rishikesh, and then went back to Vrindavan, etc. And around that time, and Prabhupada was reflecting on what he has achieved. And in one of those days when he wasn't too well, a letter arrived. And the letter was from America. I believe was in New York. There was some Supreme Court case. And when Prabhupada was there, it was literally a war, because they were at war with the devotees in the different airports, Chicago, New York, this, that, everywhere pretty much. And they were fighting it in court. So there was a letter that came from the Supreme Court saying that, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I believe, reads that letter. The Krishna consciousness movement is a bona fide religion, the letter reads. And these are the words of the court, of the judge. So Prabhupada he asked, I believe, Maharaj to read again, and Prabhupada was tearing. He said, and it's Prabhupada, are you all right? Because the devotees were always concerned that Prabhupada was feeling this way or that, uncomfortable or pain or something. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, are you okay? And then Prabhupada says, I have won the war. And then he started explaining. He says, these people wanted to kill me. In India, they were accusing me that, we are the CIA and so many things. Says they didn't understand. They say, and Prabhupada is like quoting what they would say, the comments, I guess. Let us kill the old man. So they want me dead, but I won the war. So that's Prabhupada's mood. Because he had that intense desire to bring Krishna to us, particularly to the West. And he almost got desperate. There is a very nice pastime about the Krishna book, how he got it printed. I was hearing and watching some clips from Syamasundar Prabhu. He tells that in 1969 he was trying to convince him to get this Krishna book printed, because Syamasundar Prabhu, he admits he had this this thing that he wanted to do something great for Prabhupada. And although he says, I was completely insignificant in regards of a spiritual advancement, I just love that Prabhupada will challenge me, and sometimes I will challenge him that, okay, let's do this and let's do that. And
anyway, so he's telling the story how he had been cultivating George Harrison. And then he says in the clip that, but one of the things that he didn't do was to ask him for money, right? And then George Harrison himself, seeing Syamasundar, who was doing the London temple, Buri Place, he had volunteered to donate the marble for the temple. So he was coming up to see some, sculpture, and then they were looking at the marble. There was just a lot of money, thousands of pounds. So when that was going on, Prabhupada was in London, and one day he called him, and then he said, I want you to ask George Harrison to print, to pay for this printing. And then Syamasundar said, no way, I can't do this. And then Prabhupada said, no. You see, you do like this. You tell him that my guru said, so I'm the bad guy. You said my guru wants. It had nothing to do with me. Just tell him. It was $19,000 or $20,000 at that time. It was so much money. So sure enough, they went and they were looking at the marble and everything, and they went to the sculptures, famous sculpture house, and they were having some food. And it was nearly midnight. They were, chatting, and George Harrison, artist, Beatle, whatever. And then at that point, he was thinking, Prabhupada told me to say this. Prabhupada told me to ask him for this, and I'm not able to do it. I don't want to do it. And then at some point he says, but I gotta do it. And the food is over, the drinks, whatever. And because George Harrison was vegetarian, so they had arranged something. And then at that point, when they were clearing the bed, the table, he was sitting in front of George Harrison, and then he said, my guru wants you to pay for the printing of the Krishna book. And then he said he could see George Harrison's face turning soured. These people, he was just reading his mind, all these people just want my money, da-da-da-da-da. And at that moment, there was a big thunder, a stroke, and the lights went off, and everything was rattling. And then he thought, oh my God, this is the worst situation. That's it. George Harrison will be fried with us. And so then after a few minutes, the light came back. And he had changed completely. His face was pleasant. And then he said, so how much would that be? And then he said, $20,000. And then he said, okay, I'll go and talk to Prabhupada tomorrow, and then we will see. All right? So then Syamasundar Prabhu was thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is just like a miracle. So the next day, Syamasundar Prabhu goes back to the temple, nearly midnight or so, and then he sensed that Prabhupada was very intent in doing this, in getting this Krishna book printed. And then he sees the light of Prabhupada's room on, and then he walks to the room. He goes up to Prabhupada's quarters, and then he was about to knock, and then Prabhupada says, Syamasundar? So he could sense that Prabhupada was very keen in doing this. So he opened the door, and then he tells him, he describes, it's just like a little kid, we did it, Prabhupada, you did it. He said yes. And Prabhupada didn't say much. He was just like he knew that will happen. And then he paid obeisance, and then he was leaving, and then he says, I told you that Krishna will help. Sometimes these things are amazing, and the way that we can see the Goswamis represented by Prabhupada is that Prabhupada did exactly the same thing. To produce the Krishna book, it was a whole thing with Brahmananda, and Prabhupada was this is 1970, Ratha Yatra day. Prabhupada was dancing and in the parade, and at that point somebody came and said, Prabhupada, here there is this Krishna books. He wanted for some reason big size. You surely have seen that version, the Prabhupada order, a specific size and the pictures in the front and the gray cover. You have seen it, and they handed him a number of Krishna books. And Prabhupada, right there in the middle of the whole festival, he started admiring the book, no? And then he grabs one and then he starts selling it. He starts, promoting it. Whoever wants the book, here. And then, the dollars start coming up and people snatching the book from Prabhupada's hand. He didn't even keep one for himself. So this is the intention of the acharyas, to bring Krishna to us. And when you read those pastimes, I think we can get a glimpse of what was the intention of Jiva Goswami, of making us or helping us to feel a little bit of that taste that the gopis felt. Like Prabhupada told Rameshwar Prabhu that the Sankirtan is in the mood of the gopis. The Sankirtan devotees can experience that because that's the intention of Krishna, to bring the fallen souls back to his fold, back to his protection. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prasadam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.